Welcome to the Matt Laricy Project. This is a show about all things real estate, business, marketing, and entrepreneurship. Each show consists of myself, Matt Laricy, a member of my team, and a guest. This week, the Matt Laricy Group team member joining us is Matt Piazza. Matt, how are we doing today?
I feel great. I feel really good.
Nickname for Matt Piazza is Pizza. He's very upset by that nickname. How did you even get that nickname?
Are you just off script right now?
I'm off script.
I think it's just because everybody likes me.
I think that's
Everybody
why.
likes pizza.
I think that's yeah. Everybody does like
right?
pizza.
I don't think it has anything to do with putting on a few pounds in the last couple of years.
Okay, episode 17 is called How to Become an Airbnb King. And this week joining us is Mike Duckworth. Mike, how are we doing today?
Well, Matt, I have a fitness show in 3 days. I haven't had a carb in about a week, and I spent all day with Mr. Pizza here yesterday. So I'm doing about as good as I can right now.
So you haven't had any pizza recently?
I have not had any pizza, but Saturday night and
Okay.
Sunday, mark my word, I'm going to have as much pizza as I possibly
What's this fitness competition for?
so I do compete in men's classic physique and men's physique, which is a division of bodybuilding.
Nice.
Going out to Woodbridge, Virginia this weekend, which is right outside of D.C., so I'll be competing Saturday night, kind of making a little weekend out of it. And
Yeah.
coming back to Chicago and all the fun Monday morning.
There you go. So now, Mike, you're what I consider an Airbnb king. How'd you even get started in Airbnb?
Oh, God, where do I start? So a couple of years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, I took a chance on another endeavor, moved across the country, went out east.
Okay.
Like any entrepreneur, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So that was a decision that didn't pan out, and came back to Chicago. That nice long, 14-hour drive, and literally, and this is not even an exaggeration, I had about $14 cash in my car.
Wow.
And, I quit the white-collar job I had to go out there and try something. It didn't work. And, during that ride back, I told myself, I'm never going to let anybody else be in charge of, my financial stability and, more importantly, my happiness.
Yeah.
So I came back, and in lieu of looking for another job, I started driving Uber.
Wow.
Just
okay.
figured, you know what, I'm going to just do this until I figure it out.
Yeah.
And one day turned into 2, turned into 3, and before you know it, you're kind of spending weeks just waking up, working hard, and trying to get in a better spot than you were the previous day.
Right.
There is another peer-to-peer car rental app called Turo, where, similar to Airbnb, you just like with Uber, you rent out a space in your car. On this app called Turo, you literally rent out your entire vehicle.
I've used Turo when I got in an
before.
accident
Yeah.
before. It's good. It's actually
great.
really good. It's a good app.
And
yeah.
the commodity that all of these peer-to-peer apps is selling is time.
Right.
It's as quick as you can possibly be. If you need a ride somewhere, you call an Uber. If you need a car for a couple days, you do Turo. Mm-hmm. If you need a room for the night, you call Airbnb, or you book a room through it.
Right.
It's all about efficiency and time. If I were to ask you, Matt, both of you, what's your favorite burger?
McDonald's hamburgers.
I would probably say Red Hot Ranch on Western.
Red Hot Ranch on Rancid. And the comparison to what I do would be what Matt Laricy said, McDonald's. It is the most efficient burger. They figured it out. They figured out how to...
Cheapest and most efficient, man. That's
cheapest,
it.
most efficient, point A to point B. So after renting these cars out for a couple years, I actually built up a fleet of about... at one point, I was up to around 10. I don't have the exact number, but around there. As far as cars go, I know how to put the key in and start it.
Right. That's
And
about it, right?
Sometimes I can figure out how to program the radio station. So, as you know, with cars, they break down. They're not really reliable. Mm-hmm. I realized real estate was kind of the way to go.
Right.
So, renting out cars. I'm from the south suburbs originally. I'm from Tinley Park. At the time, I was still living in Tinley.
Yeah.
Coming to Chicago every day to check on my fleet of cars. And I realized, you know what? I need a place in Chicago. It just makes more sense. Why spend all this money and time
Travel,
commuting
stuff like
downtown,
that.
money on gas? I figured out, you know what? I'm spending an hour a day commuting, X amount of a day on gas. I could literally get a 2-bedroom apartment and justify my expense there. And, me being as frugal as I am, I literally break down every cost of everything I do.
Right, because time is money.
Time is money, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I realized, you know what? If I could just rent out the second bedroom, even for half of my rent, it makes financial sense to do it.
Yeah.
So I, on Western Avenue, not too far from here, just south of 290, I scooped up a 2-bedroom apartment, and I kid you not, I got the photos to back it up. I went to Walmart, I bought an air mattress, $30, $40 blow-up air mattress, and that was my first Airbnb listing. The title of the listing was Air Mattress in an Empty Room.
Okay.
And that's it.
Did it? How often was that place rented out?
At the time, I was still driving Uber as much as I could, so I wanted to create this listing as quick as possible, just so I can go out and drive Uber. Yeah. So I blew up the air mattress as I'm brushing my teeth, eating breakfast. Yeah. Take my phone, snap a picture, upload. There's all these features and settings, and you're supposed to. Just like you're creating like a social media profile or anything else, you're supposed to add all the fine details. No. My listing just said air mattress and empty room.
So it rented?
It rented before I even got in my car and started it.
No kidding.
So I walked back inside. I'm like, whoa, hold on. I just rented. I believe my first reservation was for about $20 or $25, which was literally pretty much the cost of the air mattress. Okay. The guy came in. He came to the blue line.
What kind of guy was this?
He actually, I remember this guy. I still keep in touch with him too. It's kind of funny how your first client, your first dollar bill is always something you frame or whatever. Yeah. He actually came in town. He does the trade shows at McCormick Place. Okay. So his company, they come in every year. It was in like April or May, so around this time. Yeah. They come in, they do a show for about a month. He's one of the guys. He rents out a booth, and he just sells his product and services, packs up and leaves. So he is the perfect Airbnb candidate because if you're staying for one night somewhere, right, you could justify a hotel expense. It's one night, right? And if you're staying somewhere for a year, you're probably going to do a little bit more research and you're going to find something that works and you're going to sign a lease. But what do you do if you're kind of in the middle? Yeah. You're not going to pay the hotel premium for 30 straight days. And surely it's not worth your time to really look for a lease when you're staying that short. So there's that intermediate area where a service like Airbnb is absolutely perfect. Yeah. And I saw that opportunity right away.
I mean, it's good to have the vision to kind of see where it is and experiencing firsthand. I guess personally I'd be a little skeptical about empty room with air mattress type posting, but of what type of people would
it's
rent
gotten
it.
A little better since then, man. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, but it sounds
you got to start as the Joker, and work your way up.
You start at the bottom. That's how it works. So how does exactly Airbnb work? You take a picture, you post it, and is there like an approval process to get on the website or anything like that? Or?
Absolutely. So the way it works is there's hosts and there's guests. So the host, like myself, we offer accommodations to guests. Mm-hmm. So if you're traveling as a guest, you are run through a background check. They basically run you through, a few different forms just to basically make sure, you're safe to stay in people's homes as they do the host. So both parties are mutually verified and checked and screened. As a host, you can list any kind of accommodation you want. I can rent out my entire place. I can rent out just one unit, one floor. Mm-hmm. I could rent out a private bed or a private room, or you can even do a single bed, a shared room. You could do a couch. Yeah. I mean, they really let you select, how big or small you want to scale. I can take reservations for months at a time, weeks, days, even a single night.
Are most of your stuff like nightly or 2 nights?
It really depends, and that's something I've learned over the years. During the summer, Chicago is the summer city. Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's 35 degrees today. It was me and Matt were sweating yesterday walking up and down the streets. Right. We're at the time of year where you don't know what you're going to get. Right. But I tell people from St. Patrick's Day, Easter, up until the marathon, which is the first week of October, every weekend there's something going on. Right.
There is,
And, just interacting with my guests and hearing what they're saying and, there's the big ones. The 3 or 4 biggest weekends for sure for us is Lollapalooza, in August is the biggest weekend by far. The second weekend is the marathon in October. A lot of people come in for that. Yeah. And then 3 and 4 are probably Riot Fest in September and then Spring Awakening in June. Okay. And those are more music festivals geared towards, the younger
and people just need do you think like in that situation people just need a place to kind of leave their stuff, right? And
on those weekends specifically, and what I tell people too is, when I travel personally, right? I'm going to this fitness show this weekend, like I mentioned to Matt earlier.
Are you Airbnb?
I am.
Okay.
I'm staying in Woodbridge. Absolutely, I'm staying. I got the reservation booked. And ironically enough, or coincidentally, the host asked me if I host as well. Just the questions I asked him, I was very thorough. Hey, I'm coming at this time. My flight's coming here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, this is my itinerary. Do you mind if I mail? And he's like, you must be a host, because most people just show up and you know, kind of have that, you know, what do I do next look on their face.
What about like the host compared to the guest? Like, what type of fee does Airbnb charge to post something on there?
There is no fee per se for posting.
Do you pay a monthly charge? Like, how is
There
Airbnb?
is no. So the fee structure is set up to where Airbnb takes a service fee off all of my reservations. I want to say it's somewhere in the 1.5% to 3%.
Okay.
A lower, just like any type of transaction, a lower value transaction might have a higher percentage fee.
Yeah.
As you get, you know, bigger reservations, they might take a little less off the top, and they do charge both the host and the guest. I know the guest pays a little bit higher for the service fee.
So there's anywhere from 1 to 3% on the host and 1 to 3% on the guest.
I believe the guest is actually a little bit higher than that.
Okay.
I don't have the exact figure. But
Okay.
yeah, that's the Airbnb is basically the matchmaker. They're matching.
They're the broker.
They're the
right?
broker.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're matching the person who has a place
Yeah.
to the person who's looking for a place to stay.
Do they have restrictions on what, like, how a property meets criteria to be able to be hosted on there, or they don't care at all?
They actually do. So when the guest checks out, they're prompted to rate the property and the stay.
Okay.
You know, they're the basic ratings: overall rating, cleanliness, check-in, communication. And then they actually ask them a series of questions where when I first started in 2016, it was, I don't want to say it was the wild, wild west, but you can definitely see where Airbnb is gearing more towards a hotel-ish experience. They will ask the guests, was there soap, shampoo, conditioner? Was there soap? One of their new things now is 1 towel per guest.
Okay.
You know, they want to make sure the hosts are, treating this like
Yeah.
the hospitality it should be treated as.
Does that go both ways? Like, are they like, okay, Mike, what was this person like?
Absolutely. So we get to rate the guest as well.
Nice.
They have what's called an auto book feature where, say you were to book, say you guys were going out of town this weekend for a golf trip, whatever.
Yeah.
You could go directly through a hotel's website and book, or you can use another site like a Travelocity or Kayak and book as well instantly. Airbnb has that feature as well, where as long as the guest has met the criteria, they're allowed to book instantly. They also give the host the ability to turn that feature off. The pros and cons of that are obviously some people only want to instant book, whereas other people want to ask a few more questions and make sure it's a good fit.
Do you turn people down often on that?
I don't. Unless the only reason I turn people down is we'll get some requests that are clearly not hospitality related. For example, I actually had a girl yesterday ask, I'm going to my prom in about a month. Do you mind if I use the room for my send off? Do you mind if I have a bunch of family members over and we cook lunch and we're not going to actually stay for the night. We're just going to kind of use it for the day. Yeah. Another common request is for photo shoots. Hey, we're doing a photo shoot. We really like the way your kitchen looks. Do you mind if we, come in and take photo shoots?
I don't know where
you're kitchen photo shoots, man.
Yeah. Kitchen photo.
Cooking.
I've been in all these kitchens.
Have
I
you
don't
seen
know.
Matt cook
They're
a
not
papaya?
they're not restoration hardware, so they're. I'd be curious to see what type. Let me know when those photo shoots happen.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what type of things. So okay,
I'll let you guys know. Don't worry.
Yeah, so like on the booking. So you started in 2016. You had your first blow up mattress, single room. How many do you have now? How many Airbnbs?
At this point, we have 200 and about 10 listings.
Wow. And how does that compare to like somebody else? Like, what's the average host own?
I would say the average host probably has one building, one unit.
Wow.
Maybe 3 rooms.
And it's probably one listing. I think
it's
when he's talking about listings, I think, can you elaborate on what a listing is as opposed to like a
listing can
house?
be anything. So if I were to rent my whole house, that would be one listing. If I were to rent one room, it'd be a listing. If I were to break it up by bed, each bed would be a listing.
Okay.
And then they actually have what's called a parent-child relationship too. So hypothetically, say you have one room that has 2 beds in it.
Yeah.
You could rent each bed separate, which would be 2 listings. You can rent that room privately, which would be a 3rd listing.
Yeah.
If that room was part of a unit that you rented privately, that could be a 4th. And if you rented the whole house privately, it'd be 5.
Wow.
So, like I said, they're very flexible with how you rent and how you break it up. And that literally can change on a nightly basis. So one night, your whole place can be rented to one group. The following night, it could be more of a hostel setup where every bed is rented separately.
Right, and that's kind of when I think, what was the number you gave? Was
210.
210. So that's like, one building I know that we have with you is, how many what's the most listings in one building? 36, I think?
Tell you. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Have you had 36 different individuals in one building?
No, probably not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I said, with the parent-child relationship, if the beds are booked shared, then obviously the private room wouldn't be able to be booked that night.
So you don't utilize it.
So to get to these 210 properties from the one that you've had, like, what do you look for in a property? Like, what do you look to identify to buy?
When I first started, obviously, one of my hardest roadblocks to overcome was the fact that I was self-employed, and being an entrepreneur, you do need 2 years of income to get any loan. As you guys are well aware, the 2008 debacle, it kind of makes it impossible for anybody doing the non-traditional route to secure any kind of mortgage or financing. So when I first started, I was literally working and saving just to get enough to do something cash, and it was difficult because I could only search in a certain price point. So when I first started, it was, what can I afford?
Right.
And you're looking at the very few properties that are even available at that price. And, when you're looking at the bottom of the spectrum, everything has something wrong with it. Do you want to be in a less than desired area? Do you want a fixer-upper? Do you want, property that might have had some problems before? But what I'm looking for something that works for my model. I know, a lot of people that are purchasing their first home, they want to be close to a certain school district, or they want to have certain kind of countertops and this and that, open spaces. And I think the first time me and Matt went out, he was actually just talking to me about it. He walked in the first property and he's like, "What are we doing here?" And in my head, I'm already like, "Oh my God, this is great." And I'm already planning out what I'm going to do. And I think in that moment, he kind of realized, this guy's doing something a little bit different. The vision he sees, he doesn't see what I'm seeing. Matt's looking at it as, this is a house, this is a property. Right. It's not ready to go. Let's go to the next one. And I'm already I'm not looking at what it is.
He's measuring a wall, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing?
I'm looking at what it could possibly be in the future.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so like you want to try to have something that can maybe maximize your profits. That can be
right.
Because you want it to rent. I mean, if it sits vacant, every day it sits vacant, it's money out of your pocket. So you want to try to rent it out. I mean, what's your vacancy factor for your units? Like, how often are these things turning over and renting? Like,
we're above 95 easily.
Okay.
Year round, yeah.
So how are you getting people to choose yours over the other listings?
I would say we are easily the most efficient, budget-friendly model out there, hands down. I mean, if you are traveling, and I tell people, if you need a place to stay, a warm bed, nice clean bed, place to shower, good Wi-Fi, clean kitchen, no one's going to beat us on price, ever. Okay. We will always be the best option out there. And for a lot of people that are traveling, that's all they're looking for. Yeah. They're in town for 1 or 2 nights. If you're in a shared room, it's a lot of people traveling by themselves. I mean, if I'm traveling for work on a Monday through Thursday, I want to save as much money as I can. I'm there for a purpose. I'm there to make money.
What about on a safety issue? Like I hear a lot of different people coming together in a house. Has there ever been any problems with that?
Not really, surprisingly not. And I think my model works.
Okay.
Because you hear these stories on TV where a bachelor party gone astray and the cops come and there's huge problems. And I never rent my houses out as the entire house. Yeah. It's always either a private or shared room. And I don't even want to say anything because my phone's been good for the first 15 minutes of this talk so far. It hasn't. I actually turned it on silent, so it's not going to ring. But renting out Airbnbs, even with fully grown adults, you'd be surprised how quickly person in room 1 is going to tell on person in room 2. Hey, the guy across the hall just ate breakfast and didn't clean up his dishes, or the guy down the hall is listening to headphones a little bit loud.
Kind of hold each other accountable.
They do. They hold each other accountable. I have plenty of instruction before they arrive. You know. So for example, each room will let everybody know how many people are supposed to be in that room at any given time.
Got it. So there's kind of like a criteria itinerary.
There's the checks and balances, and every guest will have access to kind of a live app that I've created where it'll let them know who's supposed to be in the house at any given time.
And then the other thing, because I've been in your properties before with people in them and staying in them, I find that you kind of have some of your regulars will get in your ear and tell you what's going on too, right? Like that's something that I know that you've kind of, and that's not even like a model. That's just like something that you've developed just in relationships.
And that works out very well because there's always a healthy mix of regulars, the people that are there for a month or two at a time,
Right.
and the people that are in for a night.
Yeah.
And the regulars kind of bond together and they enforce the rules because if you are somewhere for an extended period of time, that becomes your home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you want other people to respect it as such. And if someone comes in and acts in a way that's detrimental for the whole house, they correct it upon themselves, which removes me from the equation completely. Or
Right.
they'll let me know, hey, Mike, the guy in this room's doing this. And it's a simple, quick phone call, quick text message, and it's fixed usually.
What about, so like, you got all these people in there and you said like, you mentioned like a clean house a few times. How do you keep up with the cleaning of this? You have cleaning services for each one of these, and who pays for that?
That's all my expense there.
Okay.
The hard part about that is it's unpredictable and it's volatile.
Right.
Hypothetically, if I rented out entire places, when that group leaves, guess what? You clean the whole house.
Right.
It's simple. It makes sense.
Right.
You contact a vendor. You figure out exactly how much they charge for a whole house.
Right.
And every time they leave, you charge them that full fee. On my properties, you never know. There might be a day where every room leaves just based on randomness, and there might
Right.
be a day where only 1 or 2 beds leave. So it's it's a lot of trial and error and kind of figuring out a model that works.
Do you have like your own cleaning company for this? A go-to people that
I don't. I just have my own people.
Okay.
My own
As individuals, I
contractors.
think, right?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And what about like a daily issues? Like what are like daily grinds you got to go through? Like, is there like every day where you're like, fuck, I got to do this again? Or like you have a set routine?
Everything. My life is routine. I wake up at the same time every day.
What time you wake up in the morning?
I
every
wake
day?
up at 4:45 a.m.
There we go. All right.
Exactly.
See?
To a
yeah.
T.
Yeah. I like it. You don't go to the gym?
I go to the gym opens
Yeah.
at 5, and it's exactly what time I get there.
Yeah. Eat a
And-
couple pieces of pizza, knock out a workout.
I just picture him like 501 knocking
Yeah.
on the glass.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
So after the gym, you just start the property stuff just keeps coming in nonstop.
Absolutely, yeah. It really is. Between our checkouts at 10, so the morning is a nice time for me to get all my personal stuff done, kind of get on my laptop, catch up. 10 o'clock, everyone checks out. The people that are cleaning, so you're kind of overseeing that process.
Right.
And then 3 o'clock's our check-in. And as you can imagine, you're dealing with people.
Right.
Everybody wants to come early. Everyone wants to leave late. So, even though you have a nice 5-hour gap between 10 and 3, the 10 is going to turn into 11:30 and the 3 is going to turn into noon. And, so you're seeing everybody out. You're making sure everything's good. You're making sure all the supplies, inventory are accounted
Do you actually
for.
go to the properties then when
I'm
that
there
happens?
quite frequently, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not at every place every single day, but that's something. And the one thing I do, I answer every single message myself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Airbnb keeps track of response rate, how many messages you get back to. My average response rate is less than 1 hour, which is like the highest criteria you could possibly have.
Yeah.
I set an alarm every night. I go to bed at midnight. So we have an auto book feature. So you can book a one-night reservation tonight up until midnight.
Wow.
So at 11:59, if I got a room open, you can book it for that night. After midnight, you can't. So I go to bed at midnight every night, or like 12:05. I'm up at about 4:45.
So 4 hours, 45 minutes a night of sleep.
That's all it takes.
That's
That's
hey,
all you
I'm
need.
a 4-hour guy. I get it.
It's
know?
not
so,
bad. But every night I will get up at about 2 in the morning just to check my phone.
Yeah, make sure there's no
Because you
problems.
never know if somebody, wasn't able to get in or there's an issue.
How many
And-
times do you have problems at 2 a.m.?
All the time.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
And this is not something where I'm going to sit here and say, oh, it's great. It's
a lot of
a lot of work.
Yeah.
And our big thing is what I call the after midnight guest. So today is what, April 10th, right?
Right.
So hypothetically, if you were to book, say you missed the midnight deadline, 12:15, you booked a room for April 10th. So every once in a while, that guest is under the assumption that they're coming right now. When an April 10th reservation is the following night. It's for Wednesday.
What
not
kind of
necessarily-
clientele is somebody that's booking something for that night?
Usually it's it's a lot. It's people.
In my mind, I'm thinking it's somebody that's had too much to drink.
Right.
And it's close by.
That might be some of them. We do have a lot of regulars that we have a lot of guests that they either drive Uber, they do Postmates, they do Grubhub. So they'll literally be out in the city.
So these are grinders, guys who are working
riding their
asses
bike,
off.
walking around, making as much money as possible, and then they literally get together just enough money for a bed for the night.
Yeah.
I'll get a text at 11:30. Hey, do you got something for the night or whatever? And that's something that's truly it's such a great thing, because there was a time when I was, living out of my car and like I said, driving Uber. I would have loved, after driving Uber for 12 hours, if I could push a button on my phone and have a room for $10 to shower and sleep and get a good meal in. So I'm not too far removed from that lifestyle. So I do know what it's like, to be working hard and maybe not be in your ideal spot, but to realize the value of a good bed to be in.
So kind of like giving back a little bit to the community as well.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure, even the people in the community appreciate the fact that, life is not as easy as everybody else makes it out to be, and it is a grind, and everybody has ups and downs, and to be able to have a safe spot to sleep for the evening. I mean, what's your average room go for in most of your communities? We price according to the supply demand. There's a lot of algorithms that go into place. Obviously, during like the big weekends, it gets up. Go way up. But let's say a night like this, like you get one as low as 10, you get one as high as 100.
So on a night like tonight, what's it? A Wednesday night. Let's just say it's still winter. I know it's spring, winter, whatever.
Hit or miss.
About you could get a shared bed for about $10 with occupancy fees and taxes. Out of pocket, you'd probably be paying about $13, $14.
Wow.
And that's all included. And the cool thing about that is the second you hit submit, it hits your card, and all the information is sent to you. Everything's automated.
Right.
You'll get a digital code, how to check in. You'll get a live walkthrough exactly how to find your room. You'll have contact info in case you can't find it. You'll have the Wi-Fi. You'll know exactly where to go, what to do. When you get to the room, you'll have the number of towels there folded, ready to go. Everything's set. I mean, you cannot beat it.
I think what you're kind of catering to, and I've learned this with working with you for the last couple of years, is like, there's more out there to Airbnb and to all this stuff than like, the bachelor parties and the bachelorette parties and all that. And it's like there's a need for it, and it might take a lot more work, but you can kind of have, I think you're kind of working off of volume more than like quantity. Absolutely. And so for me, it's like when I see the properties, I know now I can kind of tell what you're looking for. Right. But when I first walked in, I was like, all right, you good here? And you're like, no, this is it. So I think, what you've created is just obviously a different model to like, cater to not just the norm, right? And kind of create a different niche product out of Airbnb.
Is there any like, and considering that you kind of went from zero to where you are today to 210 units, which is, really, really impressive to be able to manage it. I mean, as a fellow business owner, I know how stressful shit can get every day,
Absolutely.
Like, what's the best piece of advice you would give to somebody like yourself that's wants to get into the Airbnb game, like wants to buy that first property? What would be the best piece of advice you could give them?
Oh, wow. Best piece of advice. I would say learn from your mistakes, trial and error. Yeah. Because every time you make a decision, one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to work or it's not, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good decision or a bad decision. If it's a good decision, replicate it. Keep doing it. Right. Figure out why it worked, right? When I first started this, I had keys, right? I would meet the guest. Like I said, the first guy came. I met him at the train station. I gave him a set of keys. He came. Yeah. When you have one listing, that's fine. Yeah. One becomes two, becomes three. Now you got multiple sets of keys. Yeah. Pretty soon, people that say they're going to come at 5 p.m. are 2 hours late, and you're sitting there waiting. Like you said, time is money. Right. Right. So you're waiting on keys, and then somebody lost their keys, and then it's okay. How can I help this process? Okay, I'll put the keys in lock boxes. And my first winter, when it snowed, there was a freezing rain. All the lock boxes froze. No one get in. Yeah. So now we've implemented a digital door code where we can give each guest its own little code. So and it could like change overnight or something like that. So my piece of advice is you're gonna encounter setbacks, whatever it is that you do, whatever industry, whatever profession. The first time that your lockbox freezes, change it. Right. It's not gonna work because any business that you have, anything you want to build, you're only going to scale over time. Yeah. And you cannot do manual tasks endlessly forever.
Yeah.
Me showing up with a kettle of hot water to pour over the lockbox and then to jimmy it open, that can never happen again. You
just
need
so
to
you
fix
know,
that solution.
windshield wiper fluid actually unfreezes
That works
the
better
lockbox. And it doesn't freeze the lockbox after. So
wow.
Yeah, you ruin it for the next person if you pour hot water on it, unless you bring it inside.
Yeah,
and dry
windshield
it,
wiper fluid. So
that works.
You're less. So would you say now you're you're less involved and you're able to kind of not involved, but you're less at the properties now. You know what I'm saying?
And that's
you're
something
able to step back and kind of
that's
let
another
them run.
setback that I've had too. Is when I first started, everybody became my best friend.
Yep.
I am literally Facebook friends with my first 100 guests.
That's awesome.
We're Facebook friends. We got selfies. We're friends on Snapchat.
Right.
We wish each other happy birthday. But that was something I did. I met him. I greeted him.
Right.
We went out. We got food together.
Yeah.
But as you scale, when you have 30, 40, 50 guests at the same time, you can't give each guest that personal attention.
Exactly.
So if your success is based on that, if the only reason you're succeeding is because they like you personally,
right,
you have to figure out where else you're failing, and you got to correct that.
Yeah.
Like if I were to give a bad product, dirty rooms, slow Wi-Fi, bad, kitchen or cold showers, even if I presented a good personality and we became buddy, I feel like a lot of people in that situation, Mike's a good guy, the room was cheap, I'll still give him a good score.
Right.
But if I'm not there, if we don't have that rapport, I'm just a picture on an app.
Exactly.
You owe me no responsibility to give me a good score. Right. So as you grow and scale, you really got to look at the fine details and how to perfect every variable of what you're trying to build.
Where are you going next? You got 210 listings today. What's the end goal?
I'm just going to keep growing. I truly love the process.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with the day-to-day grind. I know a lot of people say that, and that's something too where you just asked the previous question, what advice would you give?
Yeah.
Fall in love with the grind.
Yeah.
I mean, I compete
I love the process.
I compete in men's physique and bodybuilding. I'm going to go on stage Saturday and I'm going to look the best I'm ever going to look.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I'm going to eat a whole bunch of pizza, a whole bunch of Mexican.
Yeah.
Actually, so Sunday night, we're actually going out for the last meal. It's a 2-foot burrito.
Wow.
Right? Apparently, if you eat the whole thing, it's free. It's like $38 if you don't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my challenge for the weekend.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
All right.
But you have to love the process.
Yeah.
What I do is my hobby, bodybuilding. It's discipline. It's dedication. Right. It's hard workouts. It's extreme dieting. It's getting up at 4:45 for tough workouts. It's not just looking good on stage for one day and then eating a big burrito the next day as a celebration.
Same with
Airbnb.
We submitted an offer last night at 12:30.
Well, I texted you at 11. But,
well, he didn't.
It takes Matt
It took him a little while to sign it.
He doesn't.
He says he's on his email. He didn't sign it.
Matt likes to sleep though.
So I was wide awake. I was watching The Office, but we submitted an offer, I guess, last night. So we're working on the next one right now.
So
keep building. And I say that all the time. Is that not only do you have to love what you do, but you have to love the process. And nothing in life comes easy. You got to keep working at it. And if you like it, you'll never work a day in your life. So. We have something called the Fast Five, where the co-hosts ask 5 questions to the guest, and as Matt pulls them up, I will start with the first one of the best piece of advice that you've ever received.
Best piece of advice I've ever received would probably to be just never quit.
Okay.
I know it's cliche. I know we've heard it before, but there was a time in my life, and I'm sure there's someone watching this video right now that's looking at my story and saying there's no way that I'm ever going to be successful. And I mean, I was truly living in my car. I was sleeping in my car. I had no money. I had nothing to do. I had a college degree. I'm from the suburbs. I was 25 plus years old. Yeah. At that point in my life, I should have been waking up every morning, suit and tie, going to an office, coming home in my 4-door sedan to my girlfriend/wife and petting the dog and walking around the block. And here I am sleeping in low-income areas trying to drive Uber.
Yeah.
I had if there was ever a person who could have justifiably quit and nobody would have said, yeah, you're right. You were in a tough spot. Like, you should have quit.
Right.
But I didn't.
Yeah.
I took every day as a stepping stone. And like I said, I know someone's watching this and they're in some kind of spot now in life where they're questioning their path, they're questioning their own happiness. Maybe they do have a decent job and they're just not happy. It's worth it. Yeah. Take that risk.
Yeah, keep grinding.
Keep grinding, absolutely.
The next one is, do you love to win or hate to lose?
My favorite question.
Ooh, I love to win, you know. And when I first started this, I hated to lose, and I vividly remember I had a chip on my shoulder. You know, I feel like when I was down and when I was, you know, sleeping in my car, there was a lot of people that were like, I told you so. Like, I knew you wouldn't do it.
Right.
And I hated that. I hated that they were right. I hated that.
Yeah.
So, you know, my story was fueled with that I don't want to lose.
Right.
And then, you know, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to get better. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to show everyone that they were wrong.
Right.
And then at some point when I started meeting the guests and hearing their story and hearing their heart, I mean, I've had people literally in tears hugging me. Yeah. I actually had a single mother with 4 children celebrate her birthday at my property. You know, all of the guests, we chipped in. One of them went to like a Jewel Osco, bought a cake.
Wow.
You know, it was like a $7 cake.
Yeah.
That girl's turned 7. Her name was Alexia.
Yeah.
She never had a birthday cake before.
Wow.
Her mother literally hugged me and cried for 10 minutes.
Wow.
And said that was the nicest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
We all chipped in $2 at most.
Yeah.
And we sang.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a simple, small amount of money, small amount of time. In that moment, other moments like that, I realized I love to win.
Yeah.
You know, I'm building something that's genuinely touching other people. It's not about, you know, proving everybody wrong or being the best. It's literally about changing people's lives. And I feel like I'm doing that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who is your biggest hero is the next question.
Besides you?
Yeah. Well, we only have so much time to
I
go
know.
over our relationship.
My father. My father, absolutely. You know, he's one person that's never given up on me.
Nice.
And then, you know, there was, like I said, a time in my life and I was questioning myself, and, you know, he's never, even, you know, at surface level, I guess my vision is a little out there and a little different. And, you know, he's always been the one that's pushed me and said, hey, if this is what you believe in, go ahead and do it. And
every entrepreneur's vision is going to be a little bit different than most people
absolutely.
see. That's the point of it, you know?
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would that be?
I'd like to stop time. I have a lot of wonderful people in my life right now that help me out tremendously. And I think any successful person, business owner, entrepreneur, you never do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. Every time I talk about my business, I always say the word we. And a lot of my guests is like, well, who's we? Like, is you know, it's just you, or who's coming, or all, you know. And I always say, well, we is everybody. We is my guests, my contractors. Yeah. It's literally everybody, you know, everyone that supports me. So, you know, if my superpower, I'd love to stop time and just enjoy free time with these people, the people that truly have been there for me. Yeah. You know, and just to go out and turn off the business for 1 hour or two. Because, you know,
you need a burrito.
Matt will be the first one to tell you, you know, get off your phone, let's look at this property. And, you know, with Airbnb, like I said, it's, you know, if you're a traditional landlord, you sign a piece of paper, you talk to the person in 12 months. Right. Airbnb, it's every 20 minutes, every 5 minutes, you're getting a text or a call, and there's always, and I'm sure you're the same way with your business. Your phone's always ringing. So, you know, to be able to truly enjoy free time with somebody that's been there for you would be truly special.
Totally.
Cool. What makes you Chicago?
I'm a hardworking person. You know, I walked into the fire. You know, I took on Chicago. You know, I said I'm from the suburbs, you know, and, you know, I built my business in Chicago, in the lower income areas. You know, I walked into the fire. I walked into places where many people would shy away from and say, you know what, this isn't going to work here. This is too rough of a situation, or it's too unpredictable, you know. And I feel like Chicago is a very, you know, hardworking city. They're a very proud city. Yeah. And, you know, to just take that task on and succeed despite all obstacles. Yeah. I feel like that's a very Chicago thing right there.
Yeah, Chicagoans are grinders.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where can people find you, and what would you want to plug?
So we actually have all of our listings are available. I mean, I'm sure I can post a link or whatever somewhere in this video. We can post it in the comment section or whatever.
Yeah, we'll post it in the comments. We'll post it across the screen here.
So yeah, absolutely. If anyone's coming to Chicago, you know, we do have four properties now. One's in Northwest Indiana. Okay. As Matt already kind of alluded to, we're working on the next one or two already at the moment. So by the time this airs, we'll hopefully have a few up and rolling. Like I said, you know, we cater to anybody. If you're here for a month or two, if you're coming in for a weekend, you're catching a Cubs game, Sox game, festival. Yeah. let us know. Let us know. You know, the link that Matt posts will take you directly to a page where you can only look and book my listings.
Nice.
So it's perfect.
Yeah, perfect. So make sure to tune into our next episode and subscribe to our podcast. Thanks for listening to the Matt Laricy Project.